movies with you or TV shows or things like that. So that leads me to believe that you're pretty involved in the casting process. Talk a little bit about putting together this ensemble around you.
Well, first and foremost, I'm an audience member. I see as much as I can. I see all the movies, I see all the television shows. I'm obsessed with this medium. So I am a fangirl when it comes to certain actors and certain like incredible character actors. So it's a really, if I see someone in a play or whatever, I will go backstage and say, we've got to find a way to work together, and then, eventually we find a moment. I mean, this cast is so great. Dagmara is so talented. We have Pablo and James Batchdale, and it's just goes. David Wilson Barnes, who we've worked together 3 times. You're about to see him in Miss Sloane. He plays. Oh, is he in episode 1? I don't think he's in episode 1 in Savant. Well, he's going to show up in the Savant, and he's really good. He plays something completely different. But yeah, no, I guess I started as a fangirl, and also there's some trust. Like Namdi, who plays Charlie, he and I did The Good Nurse together. So there's something too about, there's so many talented people in this world doing so many things. I don't want to work with someone who's a jerk. So if someone's a great actor and they're an amazing person, I'm really excited to see them on a set again.
Well, and on set, what kind of responsibility do you feel? You're both, something like this, you're an executive producer and you're number 1 on the call sheet. So what kind of responsibility do you feel for the environment on set for everybody? And what kind of environment do you like to create that you think facilitates everybody's best work?
It's interesting because when I'm not producing, I was saying to Kelly, after we did the Swan, I went and did something. I said, it was so much easier to not think about the schedule and just to show up as an actor and kind of be like, sorry guys, that's your problem. But with this, very early on in my career, actually my first film, I got to work with Al Pacino. And a little name drop. And he said something to me that is so true. When acting, it has to be real. So you just have to figure out how to make it real. So you have to take anything that you're feeling and accept that it's what the character's feeling. So a lot of the stress of what I was feeling in producing the show of oh, we're not gonna make our day, or how am I gonna get these kids to sit in their chairs? How am I gonna get Toussaint to sit in his chair so we can finish the scene? All of that kind of went into the stress of motherhood, I think you would say. So I became quite maternal on the set, but not maternal in a tree of life kind of way. Maternal in an executive producer kind of way. Jodie has stuff she's gotta get done. And so I was able to take what was real and what was happening and funnel it to make it so real for the character. And actually, and make it so it fit for the character.
Well, and how did you find the actors who played your kids, and what was it like working with them?
Well, I was very happy because I showed up they all auditioned. And then I said, I really want to read with the kids because I love working with kids, and I get quite sad sometimes working with kids who are trained actors, because I want to be on set with kids who are allowed to be kids. So we showed up on, I went to the callback rehearsal or audition, and there was probably, maybe 20 kids there, maybe 10 boys and 10 girls, and we mixed and matched them together first to see how they were. And then Toussaint and Trinity read together, and they were like siblings immediately, even though they had never met. And it was really exciting to see. And then I read with them. We improv'd actually during a lot of the audition, and we improv'd during every scene, I think, of the show. We followed the guidelines of the scene and say the script that we're supposed to say, but then also we improv on top of it. So they were free. That's why I also like to improv with kids, because sometimes if they're trained actors, they really can't improv because they've planned it so much ahead of time that there's no wiggle room in terms of their performance. But a kid that can just improv and be present in the space, I think that's the best gift, because then they make me more present.
Something else I wanted to ask you about was the importance of costumes in terms of building your character, because I was a huge fan of George and Tammy, and I know it was the same costume designer, and then in preparing for today I looked up and realized you'd worked with them something like 6 times. So talk a little bit about that collaboration and how important that is to you as an actor.
Mitchell's so wonderful. I mean, we met on the Eyes of Tammy Faye. And the thing that kind of struck me about him is I like to show up to my costume fitting. I'm not method, but I like to show up looking as much like the character as possible. Because I found in the past that if I do a costume fitting, like if I went right now and did a costume fitting, the director would see the way my hair and makeup was, and then when I got close to shoot, they'd be like, we want a look more like that. They start to wed to the idea of the images they had from you when they first saw you in the costumes. So I try to, before I do any fitting, I'm wearing the wig, I'm doing the hair and makeup of the character I'm gonna play. So immediately the director starts to see me when in the costumes as the character, not as Jessica. And I found that to be, the second I started doing that, it changed everything. It was amazing. And Mitchell creates a boutique. So I showed up and he was like, all right, Tammy, let's go shopping. And I go in this room and he's set up a boutique for all clothes that Tammy Faye Baker, like the most perfect boutique that she would like to shop in. And he does that for every, he was a bit sad that there was no glamour.
This is very different from what you usually do.
Very different. But I showed up to his boutique for Jody and there was like newspaper clippings on the walls as wallpaper. And he had made it quite like feel present and pretty. And you know, he understands my emotional journey as an actor. So as soon as I show up from the very first costume fitting, it's set for the character. I love working with him. I'm about to work with him again.
Well, and you mentioned